In Ethereum virtual machine contracts, you can access and modify each storage element individually. In Ton, the storage is accessed via getData, setData. Actually, C4 register holds the reference to the bag of cells. This requires the developer to manage the storage manually. A typical message handler in Ton follows this approach. First, we load all the variables from the storage, then we do something, change the data, and finally, in the end of the function, we save the data back to the storage. Unfortunately, we are noticing a trend. A lot of vars is actually a real enumeration of all the contract data fields. For example, look at this. There are about 30 different variables loaded. And this approach has a number of disadvantages. Let's take a look at problem number 1. First, if you decide to add another field, say isPaused, then you need to update the load data, save data statements throughout all the contracts. And this is not only labor intensive, but it also leads to hard to catch errors. In a recent CERTIC audit, we noticed the developer mixed up two arguments in places and wrote this. Without an external audit performed by a team of experts, finding such a bug is very difficult. The function with the bug was rarely used and both confused parameters usually had a value of 0. You really have to know what you're looking for to pick up an error like this. Secondly, there is namespace pollution. Let's explain what the problem is with another example from the audit. In the middle of the function, the input parameter read min amount, assign, in message value, load coins. That is, there is a shadowing of the storage field by a local variable, and at the end of the function, this replaced value is stored to the storage. The attacker had the opportunity to override the state of the contract. And finally, parsing the entire storage and packing it back on every call to every function increases the gas cost. At the prototyping stage, where it is not entirely obvious what will be stored in the contract, global variables can be used. That way, if you find out that you need another variable, you just add a new global variable and modify the load data and save data statement functions. No changes throughout the contract are needed. However, not more than 31 global variables possible. And globals are more expensive than storing on the stack. After prototyping, we recommend following this storage organization approach. Storage consists of blocks of related data. If a parameter is used in each function, for example, isPaused, then it is provided immediately by load data function. If a parameter group is needed only in one scenario, then it doesn't need to be unpacked. It will not have to be packed and it will not clog the namespace. If the storage structure requires changes, usually adding a new field, then much fewer edits will have to be made. Moreover, the approach can be repeated. If there are 30 storage fields in our contract, then initially you can get 4 groups and then get a couple of variables and another subgroup from the first group. The main thing is to not overdo it. Note that since a cell can store up to 1023 bits and up to 4 references, you will have to split the data into different cells anyway. Hierarchical data is one of the main features of Ton, so let's use it for its intended purpose. Since Ton uses bit streams with variable data format, it's helpful to ensure that you read as much as you write. This can save you an hour of debugging. Look at this code. It is from real project. It can scare even experienced developer due to a lot of magic numbers. Look a lot of magic numbers. Introduce as many constants and wrappers as needed to have an expressive code, like this. We can make the store message flags, store message body prefix state in it, etc. We love expressive code. Let's summarize what we have discussed. First, external messages. The biggest advice is to avoid using them. Then we have discussed the importance of the message flow diagram, and the biggest outcome is carry value pattern. We have also touched the topic of gas management. Tone developers have to manually and carefully manage that aspect. And then finally, we have discussed the tone storage management, some tips and tricks. And remember, safety pays back.